Welcome back to Worn Out Racing and a slightly different video because I'm guilty of, if I'm honest, only making videos when I think of some big idea, either if I'm building a car or I'm going on a track there or I'm going to an event, and actually I don't do enough of those things to make videos. That's why there's such big gaps. Sometimes I'm busy, you know, I've got a life I have to do as well, but I've decided to go for a slightly more vloggy kind of vibe because sometimes I'm doing lots of little jobs and they might be interesting, or you might just want to keep a little update on what's going on with the car. So, well, do you know what? While I'm sorting out small issues with the car, why not crack on and get a few other little cheap things? Because sometimes the biggest changes you'll make to your car aren't upgrades. It's just replacing old worn out parts with exactly the same bits. And one of those things, which I know full well is gone on my car, is general handling, alignment, and the kind of bushes and everything on the front of my car. Everything's just feeling pretty ropey. It clunks a little bit. It doesn't really handle as well as some of my other ones. So I've got some fresh track rod ends. They're not wicked. They're not like crazy branded ones. Just simple ones off eBay, like £25 for a pair, and they will make a massive difference, especially because my wheel alignment is completely shot. But yeah, actually in the end my track rod ends were absolutely mint. I can only imagine the clunk is coming from like a lower arm or something, but I took the chance to check everything over, wind the front coilovers down a little bit. They were a little bit uneven either side, so it just looks a little bit better now. But all in all, I will give the front end a little bit of a refresh at some point, but yeah, just a good chance to get up on the jacks and make sure everything's okay. Ever since I got the Lemon, it's basically always had a slight running problem of some way or another. So when I first got it, it didn't really like idling very well. It didn't like revving up. It was always overfueling. I managed to track it down to some dodgy plugs and a weak core pack. So I did those and a new O2 sensor. And every single time I replaced one, it just ran better and better and better and better. And it runs really good now. But I still think there are two things it needs. One, it needs a good tune. I think the ignition needs, the timing needs a bit of a tweak. I think it could do a little bit more timing and stuff in it just to cope with the new cam. And the other thing is, and it's not unheard of for these to fail, and I've heard of a couple of people with them slowly but surely going and then finally packing up, is the crank sensor. So I actually went on eBay and I managed to find an old school Lucas one, actual branded. I know, I don't normally buy branded stuff. And I'm just going to chuck it on because it won't hurt. It's just because the running problem just seems to sort of, every now and again, it has a little blip. And I just don't know what's causing it because everything else on it's fresh. That's the last like electric ignition thing left to do. It was like £14 or something. So I'm going to chuck one of those on there. So let's crack on. Right, now the crank sensor, if you've got a sporting one, is on the front, but on the 899 it's just at the back. I think it's two 8mm bolts, but we'll find out in a minute. You gotta love it when you spend ages wrestling with a load of bolts, trying to figure out why it won't come undone, only to see that some mug has done an 8mm bolt and one with an Allen bolt as well, for God's sake. Right, all done. That took me a lot longer than it should have done because of the mismatched bolts and me taking forever to figure out why my socket wasn't working on one of them. But all done. So I probably should have done some sort of before and after comparison, but you'll have to just take my word for it. It ran pretty good before. I'm hoping it runs pretty good now. So let's fire it up. Sometimes you can convince yourself something's running better than it actually is because you want it to, but I would say that doesn't feel as lumpy. Might have to take it for a quick test drive. Let's do that. I probably should go and get my camera stand and do this properly, but I'm being too impatient, so you're just going to have to face at the top for now. Just listen to me saying stuff that's either good or bad. Alignment's still absolutely terrible. I'm pretty certain one of my tyres is soft. I haven't driven it for a few days. All's good so far. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting any miracles here, but, you know, if it at least drives better than it did, all the same, I haven't wasted my money. So far, so good. one less thing off my possible list of things that could be wrong with this car. You'll have to let me know if you like this artistic shot up my nose. It's not my normal best side, I have to be honest. Some might argue I don't have a best side, but I'm not one of those people.
The next day.
Now it's at this point I realise that something still isn't quite right. My engine management light's coming on, but this time it just starts to act really weird. It's like a slight miss. So either way, I just eased off it, cruised back home. I've got a sneaky suspicion if I know what it is. So yeah, watch this space.